Hey guys, welcome back to the Snapbrain Chronicles. Today we have another Ratchet video for you. But before we start, like always, if you find this stuff helpful or entertaining, could you give me a like, share, and consider subscribing to my channel. Okay, today we have a Craftsman Roundhead Ratchet, and these were made by Danaher Apex Group, and the mechanisms were designed or made by Facom and SK Tools. I think they had sort of a, what do you call that? A collaboration, as you would say, of a design. So these are also, you see this design also in some SK Ratchets from around this period. Not sure when this came out. I would think towards the later part of USA Danaher Apex Group, maybe towards the 2000s, the late 2000s, maybe 2010s, something like that. Okay, they also made Danaher Group. They made these for I think a few other companies. Here's one for Napa, and here's one for Master Force. And as you can see, they have identical heads, identical mechanisms. These two are pretty much the same, the Napa and the Master Force. If you look at the designs and the handles, they're pretty thick handles compared to the Craftsman. The Craftsman's a little bit thinner. I guess they were going for something a little bit more sleek. So you can see that the handles are a bit thinner on the Craftsman. Like I said, the Master Force and the Napa are pretty much identical, except, I don't know if you can pick this up. If you see the knurling on the Napa, it's kind of a little bit flat. And you see the knurling on the Master Force, it's pretty aggressive. You see it's pretty pointy there, the knurls, as compared to the Napa. The Napa, the knurls are kind of flat. These are pretty pointy, so a pretty aggressive knurling. And Master Force was a brand of Menards. I don't know much about Menards. They don't have them in my part of the country. I think they're mostly from the Midwest. It looks like a home improvement type store, that maybe like a Home Depot or Lowe's sort of store. So I guess Master Force must be their house brand for them. Okay, I'm gonna take a look inside the Master Force, and to do that, you're gonna need a T15 to open these up. A Torx 15, and to open these up, there's just one screw on top. Here's a screw, just like a regular Torx screw. I don't see any blue Loctite on this one. Okay, you lift up the cap and be a little bit careful because there's a spring underneath here. and you don't want to lose it. And here's the cap. I'm not sure if this is steel or not. Let me get. It's not. Here's a magnet. It's not magnetic, so you can't pick this up with a magnet. So I'm not sure what material this is made of. Okay, and you see there's a protrusion here, like a little protrusion on the switch, and then there's kind of a triangle protrusion here, and these are gonna come into play later with the spring and the mechanism and stuff like that. Okay, here's a look inside the mechanism. Pretty simple, not many parts here, just a spring, the body of the mechanism, and a pawl. That's about it, and the switch and the screw. Alright, this just falls down, so when you take this apart, be careful. You don't want to lose any of these parts. Okay, here's the head of the ratchet. Very thick walls here, very thick. So as far as thickness and strength, I don't think there's much of a problem here with these thick walls for this ratchet. There are the teeth. This has 45 teeth, so it's a pretty fine tooth ratchet at 45 teeth. And the nameplate of the ratchet side has like a small lip cut into it. That's for the switch side. And over here it's pretty flat. It looks like they chamfered the edge here some on this side, but this side has a small cutout. The name side. Okay, here's the mechanism. I guess you either love these or you hate these. I hear there's kind of a mixed reviews on this mechanism online. A lot of people don't like these, and other people think they're pretty good. I don't know. It seems like a good mechanism to me. I think the main part of the problems in this mechanism is the spring. Like if you look at other mechanisms where they have like a sliding pawl like this, you see like a heart spring on some of those, and I think a spring like that is probably better suited to a sliding mechanism like this. This kind of curved boomerang spring, I don't know, it seems like it could be problematic. Here's the spring. It has a little protrusion that goes inside the hole in the pawl there. And I've heard people say it's kind of hard to get these back together. I don't know. I don't know how hard it is. It didn't really give me a problem, but I can see where some people might have problems with. Most of the problems getting this back together is, as you're gonna see, is getting the protrusion here to fit in here, and then getting it all together, because it's kind of weird. I don't know. But and another problem with this design is that it has a flat pawl riding a flat surface here on the mechanism housing, and when it switches, the spring switches one side of the pawl to one side, or if you switch the other side, it switches it to this side, and it catches. Let me show you. It catches like that, You see, which you would think is it's a pretty good engagement, because there's 10 teeth. There's 10 teeth on this pawl, and all 10 are engaging, as you can see there. You see that engagement? So it's a pretty solid engagement, and this is just one piece here, so it's pretty strong. And there, and then it's engaging, and then you see it here, and then that side's engaging. So you see the engagement there, all 10 teeth are engaged. So it's a pretty solid engagement. I think the problem is you find a lot of these and people have problems with the switches, because they'll switch it and it'll spin. Nothing's catching. I think a big problem with this design is maintenance. You need to maintain these pretty well, because when I open these up, I think the manufacturer used like a grease on these, and the grease here and here, this is supposed to slide free like this, and that grease with age gets gummed up, it gets dirty, it gets old, it gets hard, and this isn't able to slide back and forth like this freely. And I think that's what the problem is with a lot of these, is that the grease is causing it to gum up, and it's causing the pawl to gall up there, because it also has to, it rubs against the bottom, and I guess it rubs against the side here on the back also. So I wouldn't recommend the grease for this when you put this back together. I would recommend something thinner, like an oil, a thinner oil, like maybe 3-in-1 oil, or what I like to use a lot of times is Marvel Mystery Oil, which is pretty good. It's pretty light, and seems like it does a good job. So something light like that. I wouldn't go with a grease or heavy grease with this, because it's just going to give you problems down the line. And like I said, these you're going to have to maintain pretty well, just because of that fact of it needs that large surface there to slide back and forth. So okay, to put these back together, just if you want to take a look at the pawl real quick, this is the pawl. It has 10 teeth on it. It's a pretty wide pawl, as you can see there. And to put this back together, you take your pawl, you set it on the mechanism ledge there, and you put it in through the bottom. You take your spring. I think this is what a lot of people have a problem with. You take the spring and you put the little protrusion through the hole, and it has to look like this. It has to look like the protrusion is in the hole, and the curve is around the curve in the switch screw hole, like that. It has to hug that protrusion for the screw hole. Okay, now what you're gonna have to do is get this protrusion here, the small one, the little one in the switch here, this little protrusion. You're gonna have to stick that in between here in the spring. Well, there's the spring coming out of the little hole there. Okay, I think this is what people think is tricky. Alright, so you have to get that little protrusion there in that slot of the bend, in between the bend in the spring. Okay, once you get it like that, you have to twist it a little bit until it clicks in. Okay, I think that did it. All right, and you get your screw, you put it there on top, and you screw the mechanism down. Alright, and then you test it out to see if it's ratcheting. Yep, it's switching. Okay, that's my teardown and review of the Danaher design body and SK Facom mechanism head of this ratchet, which was mostly marketed under Craftsman, but as you can see, there's a few other companies that put out this design. Alright guys, until next time, take care.